Hi everyone, welcome to Belle's Books. I'm Carly and today I am bringing you my mid-year book freak-out tag. First of all, apologies for the terrible lighting in this video. The sun is really bright and no matter what I do with my curtains, nothing works, so I may have some glare at the bottom of my face. So let's talk about the books that I have read in the first half of the year. I've just got back from Glastonbury. When I say just, I mean like a few days. I've been back a few days, but that's why I haven't filmed this any earlier. And my brain is just recovering from being at Glastonbury, as is my body. So bear with me. It's still a bit mushy up there because it was an experience. Anyway, let's talk about books. So the first question is, what's the best book you've read so far this year? And I was struggling with this. It was difficult. It was a tie between two, but in the end I went for, unsurprisingly, oh god, sorry about this light, The Vanishing Half by Bennett. I know I'm late to the party on this. Everyone's already read it like ages ago and I hadn't, and I read it for my book club at work, my BLM book club, which I run, and as predicted, it was marvellous. I loved it so much. I loved the characters. I found the plot really compelling. It kept me gripped. The writing was immaculate. I just can't fault this book at all. It was bloody brilliant and I loved every minute of reading it. So yes, this was my favourite of the year so far. I'm so glad I've actually finally got around to it because it's been sat on my shelves for ages. So yay! Working through my physical TBR. So this is my favourite of the year. The other one that I was toying with was The Sentence by Louise Erdrich, which is up there somewhere. But I have only just finished reading that recently, so I think I was like, maybe because it's so present in my mind still, so I thought I'd go with this one. Right. The next question is the best sequel you've read so far. Now, I don't tend to read series, so I'm very limited on choice. I am, at the moment, bizarrely, I am reading 2 sequels. So let me talk to you about those. One that I started ages ago that I still haven't finished, and it's very bad of me, is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Brigid Kemmerer. And this is the sequel to A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I adored. I loved it. So this is YA fantasy, and YA fantasy is the only thing that I tend to read that is in series. So I'm here for this, but like I say, I've only read like 76 pages. I really need to take this back to the library because it's a library copy, so I should get on with it. I am enjoying it, but I just have been overwhelmed with picking up other things. So I can't really comment on this because I haven't read enough of it. The other sequel that I am reading at the moment, and that I have read a fair portion of, is Harry Potter. Now, I am not a fan of J.K. Rowling, particularly in the last few years with her views, and I don't agree with them whatsoever, but Harry Potter is still a big part of my life. I know, like, I'm 42, so these came out when I was in my late teens, early 20s, but I just find them such a comforting read, and I have no problem divorcing the artist from the work. I'm a big fan of Roland Barthes, so you know, death of the author, I'm here for it. The meaning is in the reading and and the interpretation of the reader, so that's where I'm coming from. But I am nearly halfway through The Order of the Phoenix at the moment, and I'm just reading it purely for comfort because before Glastonbury I was having a difficult time. Some weird stuff was going down with an academic project that I was running, and it was a bad time, so I just wanted some comfort, and I find my comfort in Harry Potter, both in the films and in the books, so that's why I'm reading it. So as a sequel, I guess this is my best sequel that I've read so far. Right, new release you haven't read yet but want to. I am thoroughly ashamed of myself to say that I have not yet read my girl, Ali Smith, companion piece. Who even am I? I don't know. Like, I consider myself to be one of the biggest Ali Smith fans ever. And I bought this in time for the Cambridge Literary Festival, where I was going to see Ali Smith talk about this. I started reading it at the festival and then just didn't finish. I think partly because I've read everything that she's written, and I don't like not having something to read that I haven't already read. I know that makes no sense, but so I have started this, but I just haven't finished it because I'm like, I just don't want to finish it and not have anything by Alice Smith new to read, which is bonkers. But also I will be writing about this in my PhD, so I will be finish reading it soon. I have started it, and I know that some people have mixed feelings about it, even like the people that generally love Ali Smith, but I think because it's Ali Smith, I will love it. So I have got very high expectations for this. And from the 76 pages that I've read, no, I've read 26 pages, that's a lie. I am loving it already. So I just can't believe I haven't finished it already, considering it's very small. I know, what's going on? I don't know. Right. Now, this next question is a weird one. The most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't pay attention to this kind of stuff. I don't look out for books that are being released later on because there's so much that I haven't read already that I've got in my house and at the library that I can't think too far ahead. There are a couple of things that I've requested on NetGalley that I have like read in advance. One of those, the one that I was going to say, was Gender Pioneers, a celebration of transgender, non-binary and intersex icons by Philippa Punchard. So that's coming out in August, and I have got an arc of that through NetGalley, so I will be reading that in advance, like this month. But disappointingly, I looked it up on Goodreads and there were so many low reviews from by people who are either trans or non-binary, expressing their disappointment with the execution of the book. So I'm like, oh no. I had really high hopes for that. I will read it, but you know, when you kind of look at reviews beforehand, you're like, oh no, is this going to be bad? So that was my only kind of anticipated release, and looks like it might be a shocker. Sad times. Other than that, I have no clue what's coming out in the second half of the year. I just don't keep up with that kind of stuff because my brain is too full of all of the other things. Right, biggest disappointment. Do you know what? I've had quite a lot of disappointments this year. Books that I thought were going to be 5-star reads and turned out to just be an absolute miss for me. So there are a lot of contenders for this question. But unfortunately, and I'm really sad to say this, the one that I've gone for is not because it's a bad book. It's a very good book, but it didn't work for me. And there were very specific reasons for that. Oh, and I'm gutted because it was a 5-star prediction. I was so looking forward to it. Oh man, it just didn't work for me. This One Sky Day by Leone Ross. I'm so disappointed. I just found it quite a struggle to get through. I found the world building in here is intense. There's a lot of crazy shit going on, and for me it was just too much. I couldn't get my head around it. Also, Leone Ross is quite graphic with certain bodily things and I don't do well with that kind of stuff. Bodily horror is not my jam, and I'm very squeamish and I can't deal with it. So yeah, I just found it a real struggle to get through, and I was like, I want to finish this book. I want to get something out of it. And there were things that I enjoyed, but overall the experience of reading it just like was not my jam. I'm so sad about that, because I love her short story collection Come Let Us Sing Anyway. I love that, even though I think that does have some body horror stuff, but there were just things in here that I was just like, I cannot deal with that right now. So I'm very sad about that. Biggest surprise. Now, I'm going to say, I don't have a copy of it because it was a library copy, so I'm going to put a picture here. I'm going to say Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk, which I had wanted to read for a while. I kind of knew nothing about it, and I think I went in with quite low expectations. I think because like those Fitzcarraldo covers are like just seem quite dry and boring. I know I'm in a minority here because people love the Fitzcarraldo covers, but I just was expecting to be quite heavy and dry, and it wasn't. And I adored it, and I loved her writing style. I loved the main character. I really enjoyed the unfolding plot, which was a mystery. I loved all the big themes and the way that the characters intersected with like these big themes of living with poetry and literature and looking at the stars, and just there was so much going on. I just really enjoyed it. Like, you know, when when you don't expect to like a book so much and then you absolutely love it. That's what happened with this book, and I was like, oh my god, I love it so much. I'm so pleased. So that was like my biggest surprise. Looking forward to reading more Olga Tokarczuk, but I'm not going to read the books of Jacob. That is a beast. I'm not going to read it, and also the subject matter seems a bit dry to me, so nope. Favourite new author. Now, a book I read very early on at the beginning of the year was Sistersong by Lucy Holland, and this was a kind of historical fiction set in the times when the Saxons are attacking England, and it was based around like this royal family and their community, and it's based on folklore. It's actually based on a murder ballad, which I just generally love the premise of those kind of stories emerging and being retold and refashioned out of folklore and myth, and particularly song. And it blew me away. I just loved it so much. Again, it was really compelling. I loved all the characters, and it was just nice to have something that was based in folklore that was kind of brought up to date, because there is a trans character in there, and it didn't feel clumsy. It didn't feel forced. It was just great. I loved it so much. And there's a sequel coming out to that, I think, next year. It's either a sequel or a book that's loosely based on the same time and place. So I'm very excited about that, and I think that Lucy Holland is going to be one of my new favourite authors. So yay for that. All right, this next question I don't have an answer for because it's newest fictional crush. I never really understand these questions because maybe I'm too old, but I don't get it. I just don't have fictional crushes. I don't know why. Maybe I haven't read the right books. Please recommend me some books that you think would be appropriate for this question, because I just have nothing to say on this question. Sad times, but there you go. New favourite character is Janina from Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. I just loved her. She's an older woman. I love to see an older character as the main protagonist. Same with Unsettled Ground by Claire Fuller. I love that the protagonist was like in her 50s, an older woman, and Janina is an older woman. I think she's in her 60s. I'm not sure, but I loved that. And I love the fact that she was just unapologetic, and I love the nicknames that she had for her neighbours. Like one of them was called Bigfoot, and she just goes about her life in the way that she wants, causing havoc. She doesn't give a shit, and it's absolute goals. And I just loved her so much. And also, like, she's very much here for animal rights and smashing the patriarchy. So big yes for that. I just loved her so much. Right, the next few questions, again, I struggled with. A book that made me cry. I don't think there was a book that made me cry. Maybe I'm just, a stone-hearted woman. I don't know. But I went through my Goodreads list and I can't find a book that I can remember making me cry. One that I have that nearly did, that made me feel very uncomfortable and upset, was The Good People by Hannah Kent. and this is a book about, or what I thought was a book about fairy changelings. It's a historical fiction set in Ireland, based in a community who think a disabled child is a changeling, and it's very upsetting and very uncomfortable, and the way they treat this child is so difficult to read, so like massive trigger warnings. I went into it thinking it was going to be a kind of a supernatural tale, more about actual fairies than it was, and so I was, again, this was one of my biggest disappointments. But the way this child was treated in this book, which is actually based on a true story, so the fact that it actually happened it makes it worse, because oh my god, it was awful. So yes, this book brought me to the verge of tears, but for all the wrong reasons. A book that made me happy. Again, I struggled with this. I guess it's because I don't read books that are like fluffy and happy or make me happy. That sounds really bad. But yeah, I don't know. So the only book that I could think of was Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, which is a non-fiction about creativity and the joy of creating, rather than, you know, like this is particularly to do with writing. I write fiction myself, and I have a lot of books that are non-fiction about the creative process and about writing. So every now and again I dip into them and kind of just to bolster myself and go, come on, you can do this. And this does what it says on the tin. It's a real booster for if you're kind of feeling in a funk with creativity, or if you're down on yourself, like a lot of writers are, and just need a boost. And I loved it. It's quite schmaltzy. I haven't read Eat, Pray, Love by her. I've watched the film, and her writing style is very kind of sickly and schmaltzy, which generally I can't deal with. I listened to this on audio, so I think if I was reading it, maybe I would have given up, but listening to it on audio as I was going about my housework was quite nice. It was just a warm, friendly tone as well, and she's talking about her experience as a writer, and I really love hearing about writers' lives and their experiences of, you know, writing and getting published and all of that. So this just made me happy because it just had such a warm-hearted feeling and gave me the real boost that I needed, and I loved it very much. So yeah, that did make me happy. Now, most beautiful book I've bought this year. I've got a couple of contenders. Oh, no, I didn't. I bought that last year, so that doesn't count. All these beautiful covers seem to have the same theme for me, which is big colours. And bizarrely, they have kind of similar titles. So amazingly, I picked this up from a charity shop for like £2. Can you believe it? We Are All Birds of Uganda by Hafsa Zayyan. This is just the colours on this that I love. It's a hardback, and I can't believe I got this from a charity shop because it's in like almost perfect condition. It doesn't look like it's been read. So there's this. I just love the shiny colours on here. And also, in a similar vein, When We Were Birds by Ayanna Lloyd Banwo, who I saw speak at the Cambridge Literary Festival with Ali Smith, because she did a panel of like debut writers that she was promoting, and this author was on the panel, and I got to hear her read from this book, which was amazing. I just love the colours. I love the end papers. Beautiful, beautiful. I probably have lots more. I'm looking at my stacks behind me. I say I'm trying not to buy new books. I tend to buy a lot from charity shops these days, and I'm using the library a lot more, so that I know there have been books that I've borrowed from the library that have been beautiful, that I've taken back, and now I can't remember. So there you go. These are my two beautiful books. Now, most important question in this tag for me is books you need to read by the end of the year. And again, I think the last time I did this, I was like, lol, all of them. So many books I need to read by the end of the year. And the need part is things that I've committed to So first up, I've committed to doing a read-along of Villette by Charlotte Bronte. This is from the library, so the cover is a bit faded, but I really love these cloth-bound classics. I think they're beautiful, but it just goes to show that if they are handled a lot, the print fades on them, which is a shame. So I'm going to be reading Villette for a readathon that is happening kind of, I think it's September, October, that Milena is hosting. So I'll be on the live chat of that, speaking about Villette. I'm very excited. I love the Brontes. Anyway, I've read like Wuthering Heights, Jane Eyre, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. So I do want to work my way through all of their work, and I haven't read Villette before, so I'm excited about this. So I need to read this by the end of the year. Other than that, the only books I need to read are for my PhD, like context reading for my PhD, and ones that I need to read quick sharp are for a chapter that I'm currently writing on utopia dystopia. So I need to read 1984 by George Orwell, Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Also, look at this cover, isn't it amazing? Another charity shop find, beautiful. And I've just ordered it. It's a book that was written in 1920. It is another dystopia. It is called We, and I can't remember how to pronounce the author's name. I think it's Yevgeny Zamyatin or something. I don't know, I can't remember. I've been writing it, and every time I write it I go, how do I spell that again? So there's that one. Also In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. I can't think of Proust now without thinking of Ben saying Marcel because it's just too funny. So I've been very much enjoying watching him reading all of the volumes of In Search of Lost Time. I haven't even started, or maybe like I'm 10 pages in, so I need to finish reading this. Sorry, I'm losing my Glastonbury voice. We're nearly there. And the last one, I don't think I'll read all of this, but I need to read some of it, again, to reference in my PhD. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy by Laurence Sterne, which is the first experimental novel, supposedly. So I need to read it to see what it's all about. And I'm very excited about all of these. So that is my mid-year check-in. I think my reading in the first half of this year hasn't... I mean, I've had some great books that I've really enjoyed, like The Vanishing Half and The Sentence by Louise Erdrich, but I've had quite a lot of disappointments of things that I thought would be really great, like The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. So disappointed by that. And this one, Sky Day, again, not the book's fault, my fault, because it just didn't work for me. I still think the book has incredible merits and it is beautifully written, but just not for me. Yeah, so I feel like I've had a weird reading year so far, and hopefully the second half will pick up and we will have lots of 5-star reads. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to shut up now. Talk to me in the comments below. Have you read any of these? Do you want to read any of these? What's been your best books? Also, drop me recommendations, please, for books that you think would work for fictional crushes, because I'm so intrigued by that. I always find it such a weird concept, but I want to know. So please drop me some recs. Thank you very much, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everyone.